Yes, sir. They just grow up so fast, don't they? Not fast enough. Gregory will now be talking a year from now. Look back on this. Declan, you man. I imagine that it'll get to the point where they don't want me to so much. So, anyway, look at you. You're so handsome.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, what?
Did you know Anchor distributes our podcast to Spotify and Apple Podcasts free of charge?
No way. Did you also know Anchor has everything you need to make a podcast, including tools and tips on how to grow your audience and fan base?
Yes! Anchor is the best way to start and grow your podcast for absolutely free. Make sure to check out Anchor and download the free Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Goodbye!
Well, thank you so much.
You are rolling, guys.
Awesome. Welcome back to another episode of the Rhodes Less Traveled. I am the darling Declan Parker Rhodes, and that is the generous
Gregory Rhodes.
Yes, it is. We are back finally. Yes, we know. What is this? 6 months in now into the new year of 2021. But better late than never, I guess. Yeah. Before we get started into the main episode, I feel like we need to, just catch up not only with each other but also with the audience in terms of things we've just not been able to talk about over this past year. And I think we recorded our last episode like on December 31st, I believe. Oh. Or it was on December 30th. It was like a couple days before New Year. And then it wasn't until January 6th that the Capitol had an insurrection in it. Literally on January 6th, 6 days into the new year, we had insurrection on the Capitol. Is that something like, I guess I just would have never, like living through something like that, I'm like, in hindsight, I'm always like, oh, I never would have thought I would live through an insurrection on the Capitol. You know what I mean? Like, that was insane. It was wild.
Yeah. I never thought I'd see anything like that in my life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. Kind of continuing on down, the insurrection in January. The pandemic was still, of course, still very much in effect. And, we had rollout of vaccines, Moderna, Pfizer. I've been thankful and blessed enough to have received mine. I'm the Pfizer gang. You still have not been able to receive yours, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, because you're waiting. They're waiting for antibodies in your, or you have the antibodies?
I have the antibodies from when I was sick in October.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my oncologist said you don't need to get it yet.
Yeah.
Or you shouldn't.
Yeah. So they're just wanting you to be careful, so not to have it inside your body again with the weakened immune system, right? Yeah, okay. Which totally makes sense. But with that said, that's our little PSA and little reminder to go get vaccinated. If you haven't, please, it saves lives. Not only yours, but also other people's. So that's our little soapbox on that. Something else that kind of happened over these past 6 months, I had both of my showcases for my senior year of college level courses. So I had a voice recital that you and Mom attended, everyone. That went superb. It was awesome. It was great. It was lots of fun. And then I had a New York showcase and an LA showcase, which went swimmingly. They went wonderful. They were live streamed on April 21st and 22nd, I believe. But yeah, they went great. I know I talked to you about this a little bit. I had heard from a couple agents locally and some that I had reached out to. So that was exciting. That was awesome. That was a nice, exciting new chapter for performing and being in the fine arts. So not only that, I also came out with conjunction with that, I had to make a website for myself, a professional looking website, which I have, DeclanParkerRhodes.com. Check it out if you haven't. But yeah, it was a whirlwind last like 8 weeks of my senior year of college. And then, going on to the next, in these past 6 months, you've had not only me graduate, but also McKenna graduated from high school, Ozark High School. So she will be continuing her education in the fall at Highlandville, or is it just Highland Community College. So that was awesome. That's crazy. I think, coming up on 6 years now, almost 6 years ago, do you think when you had first gotten the news, do you think you would have seen those milestones?
Well, if I hadn't taken treatment, I guess no. Yeah. I don't think so. Probably. Pretty sure probably wouldn't have seen those. Yeah.
What was it like? What was it like seeing your oldest graduate from college, and then your second oldest graduate now from high school? One left in the nest.
It's surreal. Yeah. I don't know where your 4 years went. I don't. I just don't. It seemed like just the other day we were moving you into Blair Shannon your freshman year, and then boom, 4 years later you're graduating college. So it didn't seem surreal. It doesn't seem surreal, and I guess it's slowly sinking in with you moving back home to prepare for your adult life and career. So it's seeping in or sinking in, but it's still just doesn't seem real that you've finished your schooling from kindergarten through college. And, McKenna as well, graduating high school. That is more real to me because she was at home just like you were at home.
Yes, yeah.
With your 4 years of high school. And so you interacted. We went to her volleyball games and different games. So that was real, but yours wasn't real. It is surreal to me.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I can definitely say on the receiving end of it, being in the graduation was also surreal. 4 years ago, just thinking about how I had just graduated from high school and I had no idea what was gonna be next. I knew at that point that I was going to MSU and I was going to do a BFA in musical theater. But I didn't know what the next 4 years would look like in terms of relationships, friend-wise, family-wise, everything. And I think it was very surreal as well too, to see people I had seen known in high school who I was graduating with in college. That was very cool. Shout out to those people that I saw. Patrick Heslip, Rebecca Hardinsfield, Molly Taylor. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but those are the ones that I remember right now. It's good to graduate alongside you all. So graduation happened in May. I have not. Which by the way, I graduated, from Missouri State University with a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Musical Theater, which means I know how to portray emotions on stage, honestly and in a grounded place. So that's fun. But it just means so much more. I learn more about myself as a person, a human, as well as an artist and a creator and creative mind. It was great. I had a good time at Missouri State. And so graduation happened in May, and then I moved out of my house in Springfield in June. I've just now moved back home with the rents, with the parents and the siblings for a little bit, until I, as of now, moved to Chicago in summer of 2022. So next year. So a year in Ozark, and then on to the world. Super exciting. It's a nice transitioning chapter. I'm excited for this next year just to see how much I can grow as a person, continue to grow and create and make people laugh, entertain them. Yeah. I also just recently went to Nashville for a little bit, so that was fun.
Cool.
That was a lot of fun. I was visiting a friend, Madeline Reynolds, and her boyfriend, Trevor. And I was meeting up with a friend. Her name was Emma, who also just graduated BFA in acting from Missouri State University. And I drove up with my big in the program. His name is Andrew McGowan. He was a musical theater major last year who graduated. So it was a nice little post-graduation trip. I think for all of us, involved, and it was just super fun. I had never, the last time I had been to Nashville was a mission trip.
Wow,
in church.
Wow.
I think that was my sophomore year of high school, or summer after sophomore year.
Yeah, that was either 2014 or 2016. I'm thinking something like that. No, it wasn't 2016. It wasn't that late.
It wasn't 2016.
Yeah, it was 14 or maybe even 2012.
Yeah, so that was the last time I had been to Nashville, and I didn't remember a whole lot of what I did there. I remember a couple places. I know we didn't go to Broadway just because I would have been like 15, 16 at the time. So there was really nothing for me much to do there. But I very much enjoyed Nashville. It was wonderful. I stayed in a Dolly Parton themed Airbnb, which was interesting. They had a wonderful picture of Dolly on the wall. They had some Dolly mugs, Dolly music. It was incredible. I visited some friends there, had some good food, good drinks. Broadway was incredible. I don't want to make it sound so poetic, but truly just music spilling into the streets, like from every corner. Every single bar has a different band in it. Every single level has a different band. So just hundreds of musicians. I had not heard so much live music in so long. It was so good.
Wow.
It was refreshing to the soul. Also just inspiring just to see so many different musicians in like different points of their career. Some people I had seen guys who's talked about being like performing in every single bar on that strip.
Oh, wow.
Like having sung in every single place, and it was really nice. And it was cool too, just like, I know a lot of people don't like country music. I think I will always have an inkling towards it just because you played it so much when we were younger. And just, being from the Midwest, I think I'll have a leaning more towards liking it, folk and country music. But there were tons of like cover bands who were doing punk rock, rock, classic rock, pop stuff. Like they had a good mixture. So highly suggest Broadway in Nashville. It's a wonderful time. Yeah. And I moved back into the house, and that's about it. I think that's all I can think of in terms of catching them up from the past like 6 months of not recording. Right. Can you think of anything else? I feel like
not much.
No, yeah,
just the pandemic, as we say.
Yes, yeah.
Both you and McKenna continue to apply yourself in school and made it through last year and this year, the pandemic. As far as I think personally, the pandemic to you guys is our 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we granted you were alive when 9/11 happened, but you were a baby.
I don't remember it. No,
because you were a baby. You were 99,
2001.
2001. You were 3 years old when it happened. So,
or 2. I would have been 2.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's right. 2. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, you're good.
Yeah, but anyway, that just like for my parents, they had Pearl Harbor.
Yes. Yeah.
We had 9/11. My generation, then your generation had a pandemic.
Yeah.
So that's what I think it's equivalent to.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I really can't think of anything that you missed on catching up. Oh well, we moved.
Yes, yeah. So I remember we talked about that. Yeah, you guys are
before Christmas.
Yes, yes.
Which I wouldn't recommend to anyone.
Yeah, no. They did move. To the
country.
Yeah, to the nice country, nice little plot of land. Yes, I know we had talked about that in the last one because last time
okay.
we recorded in the new house. There was like barely really anything in it. It's coming together now. We got some bones and somewhat decorations. You got the kitchen all somewhat kind of figured out.
Yeah.
So yeah, no,
remodeling.
it's good. Remodeling, yes, it's looking good. It's great. Well, I don't think there's anything else necessarily to catch up on. So I guess we can get started into today's main meat of the episode, just topic of discussion. So the last, we're doing this kind of chronologically just because, I like in order in terms of when things happen. So last time one of our like last episodes of us discussing would have been you graduating from Lindbergh High School.
Yeah.
In 89. Yes.
June of 89.
June of 89, yes. So now, kind of rewinding it back, we're in June of 1989. We're just graduated. What is kind of the next, I guess, step for you? Were there a lot of, in terms of your high school, were there a lot of like, not necessarily, I guess, opportunities, but was there a counselor or teachers trying to like push kids to go to college or go to secondary level of education?
No, I mean, and that sounds bad, but
just geographically where you're at,
right?
Yes.
There was. I guess there was no push, but there was like, okay, what are you going to do next? Are you going to go on to college? Are you going to go to join the workforce immediately?
Yeah.
Are you going to join the military? And believe it or not, for me, since my sophomore year in high school, I wanted to go to the military. I wanted to be a Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines. That commercial was huge when I was younger. When I was in high school.
Yeah.
Today I see a few commercials about the military, but my generation, when I was in high school, I saw daily, and like I said, the biggest one commercial for promoting the military was the Marines, the few, the proud, the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
And so about my sophomore year, junior year is when I took my first ASVAB. That's the written test to get into the military. And I was hell bent on being a Marine. I wanted to be a Marine.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
I absolutely. And I mean strong. Took the ASVAB, took the physical, didn't pass the physical. Vision and blood pressure kept me out. But I don't know if you say ironic thing, but the feedback I got from family and friends and neighbors was not positive about that. I mean, everybody, they'd ask me, what are you going to do now? Are you going to continue work at National? Because I work at National Supermarkets.
Yeah.
Are you going to go to college? What are you going to do? And I was like, well, I'm thinking about joining Marines, and I've tested for them, or going to test for them. That's initially before I had tested, and the resounding reply I got from everybody, like I said, friends, family, neighbors, was military is not a place for a black man.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if that's the reason.
They were adamantly like, you do not need to go to the military. And at the same time, nobody said, well, you don't need to go to the military. There's no place for a black man. You need to go to college. That wasn't said or promoted.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I wanted to be a Marine bad. So junior year, I took the ASVAB, did well enough on it that the Marines said, okay, you can go to the next phase, to recruiters.
Do you think? Sorry, before you continue, do you think maybe like some of the pushback could have been because saying like, or somewhat saying, not saying the military is not for a black person, like do you think this idea is? Do you think it was rooted in kind of like, for example, if you had told them like, I want to go be a police officer, like I want to be a cop, like that's my call and that's what I want to go do,
Right.
and issues between black people and the police we've been known for a while. We know it's been an issue. So do you think it's like, I don't know, kind of join this like this authoritative figure or branch of this whole ideal that, I don't know, these like, do you think black people just like didn't like connect to that, didn't want to be a part of that, didn't want to, we think of like the system, the man getting you down, like do you think what do you
I don't know, and to this day, I sit here side by side with you and think at 50, I don't know what was the mentality or the reason behind the military is not a place for a black man, because if you look back, I mean, 1988, 1989, and then you move 20 years forward, I'm sure there was hundreds, thousands of black men who had did 20-year careers from 1988, 1989, and 20 years later that retired. So I don't, and definitely today, I mean, there's a very high percentage of African Americans in the military. So I don't know the mentality or the mindset behind it, but I mean that was shoved in my face. That was shoved in my face to the point that, well, like I said, junior year took the ASVAB, passed it. Recruiters said, okay, next thing is the physical. Go to the MEPS and take my physical, and fail. Like I said, failed a vision part and had high blood pressure, which I didn't. Today or later on, I realized I had what's called white coat syndrome. I mean, because I was 18 years old, ran cross country and track for 4 years. Yeah. So I was in good shape. It just, when I got in front of a white coat or somebody to take my blood pressure, it just skyrocketed. But I did not have my high blood pressure at 18. But yeah, so those two things. So that was junior year. So I'd go on, finish junior year, start my senior year, talk to a recruiter, and talk to a Marine recruiter again. Didn't go to anybody else but a Marine recruiter. I wanted to be a Marine. And he said, well, we need to take another ASVAB because it's been a year. And that was no problem. Took it, did good. And went to the MEPS, and this time we tried to qualify me, because the Marine recruiter, he looked back at my test from the previous year and he said, hey, you need to go to an ophthalmologist or optometrist and have them do your eye exam and have them write up something and say that here's the military minimums for vision or whatever, that you're good to go, and that you could perform or in the military with glasses, obviously, for the prescription that my eyes were. Yeah. And so we preloaded that, and so then I did that, got that. Then I went to the MEPS, took the physical, passed the vision test this time. They cleared me on the vision test, but gosh darn it, my blood pressure again. And so my blood pressure disqualified me, and then this is my senior year. So, I'm thinking, well, what's the next best thing? It's college. And so I say that I begrudgingly, I had applied, whether I was doing the Marines or not, and adamant about Marines. I did apply to universities end of my senior year, end of my junior year, beginning of my senior year. I applied to colleges and was accepted at a few. But again, that wasn't my first choice. I wanted to be a Marine. And so the second time I failed the Marine, the physical didn't pass because of my blood pressure. I was like, well, what's the next best thing is college? And I begrudgingly went on to college, to Central Missouri State in Warrensburg, the fall of 1989. So
interesting. I did not know that about you trying to join the Marines right out of high school.
Yeah.
That's interesting too. It's interesting, and in hindsight, sad. That you just got, I guess, nervous around just doctors.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that.
Man, that blood pressure cuff went on my arm, and man, apparently I skyrocketed. But yeah, again, it was heartbreaking. I mean, as in 2021, whether you're 18 or whether you're 50, the word heartbreaking, most people know what that means and know how that feels, and that's how it felt. It was shattering to me that second time, because man, it really, even the first time, my junior year, I was nervous about my vision, because I just was. I was like, man, no, because I had a strong prescription.
Yeah.
So but I never thought about my blood pressure. I never thought that would ever disqualify me. And so junior year got disqualified with that. Senior year got disqualified. And it was heartbreaking, man, because that's all I had dreamed and thought about, was being a United States Marine. So I went on to college begrudgingly, which that is what it is.
Yeah. So you couldn't. And you were only set on the Marines. I think that's interesting too. You did reference the large ad and kind of push for Marine, of the brave, the few. And there was just no other branch. So you were just like, oh, if I can, or did you kind of think, if I can't get into this one, I can't get into any of them?
No, I actually didn't think that, because the Marine recruiter, he saw how heartbroken I was, that second one, and he goes, well, never say never. They're always changing things. And he goes, he's like, I don't know. I'm dumbfounded on you. He's like, you're 18 years old and you ran track and cross country, and I'm sitting here looking at you. You're 135 pounds soaking wet. And he goes, I don't know. And that's actually where I first heard the term. He goes, man. He's like, kid, you must have white coat syndrome. And he's like, you freak out when that blood pressure go on your arm. And he goes, here's the deal. You might want to go to one of the other branches and apply. The Army, the Navy. He said, the Air Force, he goes, I wouldn't recommend that, because again, your vision, even though we got you cleared for the Marines, yeah. He's go, for the Air Force, you pretty much have to have 20/20.
Yeah. And
so he goes, but the Navy or the Army, you ought to look into. So he did say that, and there was nothing doing it. I left his office, and the hell with the other two branches. Yeah. I was so stuck on them, and I would continue to be stuck on becoming a Marine even into college, as we will explore.
Yeah. So, yes, the Marine did not work out. So you come to, say the name of the school again?
Central Missouri State in Warrensburg.
Central Missouri State. Yeah. And so you coming in,
CMSU.
Was it like a 4-year university?
Yeah, CMSU. Okay. Yeah, it was just like SMSU,
yes.
Which is now Missouri State.
Yes. So coming in, did you take out loans of any kind? Did you have any help, any kind of scholarships that you applied for? Or?
No, zero on the scholarships and help. So I entered college the fall of '89 and applied for scholarships, grants, and all that. Negatory. Yeah. So I took out loans, and started my college career.
So you moved into the dorms?
I lived in the dorms. Yeah, I moved in the dorms. South Yater.
Who was your first roommate?
My first roommate was Sean Boyle. He was from St. Charles, Missouri, Duchesne High School. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my first roommate in college, my freshman year.
I don't know if you'd be able to remember. I remember filling out, when I was applying for dorms for Missouri State, they had basically forms you could fill out of interests you had.
Yeah.
What you were into, what you're majoring
Yeah.
in, whatever. Did they have anything like that? Or
They
was this
did.
all
They
random?
absolutely did. Yeah.
You kind of remember that process, or do you remember anything about?
Yeah.
Were you and Sean into the same thing? Like, did you come in undecided, or how did like?
Yeah. I came in undecided.
So did he too, or?
No, Sean came in with a business mind.
Okay.
He was going to pursue a business degree.
Gotcha.
But interests? No, we were literally opposites of the spectrum. I mean, Sean was white, I was black. He was from St. Charles, I was from inner city St. Louis. But and today, 2021, haven't kept in touch, but I consider Sean Boyle a very, very, very good friend. He was in my wedding. I mean, So he was Sean Boyle. I mean, we hit it off. I mean, we remained roommates through my sophomore year.
Yeah.
And
this wasn't, because we've talked about it before. This wasn't like obviously your first white friend, friend who was white. So was this kind of his like? Do you know? Was this kind of his first? I don't want to say introduction to black people, but like, were you one of his first like black friends? Do you think?
Yeah. And I say that casually. Now, we lived in South Yater dorm, and it was a little similar to, well, no, it wasn't like Blair Shannon, but your roommate, the other roommates that was in your pod, did you guys call them suite mates?
Yes.
Okay, so there's 2 rooms, and they're connected by a bathroom in the middle.
Okay,
that's how it was at South Yater.
Okay.
My suite mates were Gary Fogler and Kenneth Skidmore. Kenneth was from Sedalia, Missouri. Gary Fogler was from El Dorado Springs. I was their first black person interaction. Those 2 gentlemen. Yeah, that was. And Gary and I are, again, 2021 good friends. Was in my wedding.
Yeah. So do you remember what they majored in?
Yes, Gary Fogler majored in drafting, and he currently works in that field today.
Go, Gary. Awesome, Gary.
Kenneth Skidmore double majored. I mean, he was a brain. I mean, nothing personal, but no social life. It was all books, school. Kenneth Skidmore majored in business and finance, double major. His goal, he wanted to be a CPA for the government. And I don't know where he is today, but I know when he graduated, he went to work for the state as in the auditor's office.
Awesome.
That's
Kenneth
awesome.
Skidmore. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So Kenneth, you said, again, this is not derogatory. We're speaking freely.
He was from Sedalia, Missouri.
Yes, you said so. He was mostly like books and.
It was just school.
I
mean, if you must say, he was a nerd.
Yes,
Seriously,
okay.
social
I wear
life,
it loud and proud. The nerds wear it loud and proud.
Nothing
nothing
derogatory. But I mean, stuff that we go to games or we go to different islands, on campus life. Yeah. Kenneth Skidmore had nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing to do with that.
That's all good.
And I mean, he was very rigid in his routine.
Yeah,
from schoolwork to even eating, showering. I mean, he was very rigid.
So the other 2 guys, were they more sociable?
Gary Fogler and Sean, my roommate. Oh, absolutely.
Did they rush or
no? They didn't rush, but they did intramural sports.
Okay,
we did intramural sports.
What sports were you doing together?
We did basketball, and I think that was the only one.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So. Obviously, you coming to college is a sense of new independence, freedom, out of the house from your siblings and mom and sister, boyfriends of siblings. Yeah. So how did you kind of, having your own, knowing you personally, obviously, how did you have your own sense of structure and not just flying off the handle and going, I guess, batshit crazy, if I could say, like with a drinking party or whatever? Like, how
didn't do any of that? No.
Yeah.
I left home at 18, but I left with that mindset that I was going to better myself than what I had grown up with.
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to better myself. Well, part of doing that is you gotta be responsible, and you gotta walk the line. And so that's, for me, that's what it was for college. You know, yeah, it's college, but yeah, I got to toe the line.
Yeah. And
so it was not hard for me when those invitations came to go out to the bars, especially at underage. My freshman, sophomore year of college, still I was underage, and as any freshman and sophomore in 2021, you're underage. Yeah. But they went to the bars. I mean, people went to the bars, got in, and guess what? They drank. But yeah, so for me to get those invitations from friends or classmates in college, or not roommates, but just people in your dorm see you and you befriend. Yeah, it wasn't hard for me to say, nah, hey, you go ahead, but not me. That's not for me. Yeah, and it was okay. Yeah, yeah. But
would you say that was the same, like, in terms of like getting invited to parties or anything? Like, you know, being in sports teams, I'm sure I don't know. I just imagine your roommates probably getting invited to parties and whatnot. Would you go and just not partake, or just you didn't want to go at all? Or?
Well, I didn't get many invites to parties. Going to the bar, I guess people, but getting party invites, I didn't get many of those. Yeah. Sean did. Yeah. Gary and I didn't. Yeah. Gary played football in high school, and he was very good. So he was a sports or jock, whatever. Yeah. But he was a bookworm too. Gary was a bookworm. So freshman year, honestly, and you go, you're 50. I'm 50 now. Can I really think about? Yeah, freshman year, I don't recall going to any parties. Yeah. I don't recall going to any parties. Yeah. Sean did. Gary did.
I enjoy talking about this too, just because. So you had, including you, 4 total people living in a room together. So in contrast with me, of Blair Shannon having 6 people, so 5 of the roommates, and then 1 I actually share a room with. Right. Oh my gosh. The contrast of just, so all 5 of them were, 4 of them were not the one I lived with, Jesse Kuhn. Yeah. All 4 of them were involved in fraternity life. Yeah. So they rushed. They were in different fraternities. 2 of them were in the same, I believe, what was it? Theta Chi. And then another was in Sig Ep. The only reason I remember that is because that was John Goodman's fraternity. Yeah. And then another one was in another one. But I just remember, I also want to ask you about this in terms of, so 4 guys living together, and you being more on the cleanlier side, or just having more control of your own space. Right. What was that kind of like? Because I for a fact, living with 5 other guys who just really had, for the most part, had like didn't want to clean any like food scraps.
Remember, we came to your room probably 3 or 4 months into, we had to bring you something, and we came to your room. So 3 to 4 months into you living in Blair Shannon, and I never said anything to you. No, did I? No, I don't. Yeah, I never said anything to you to this day. But especially when I went in your bathroom, I was like, are you absolutely shitting me, man? It was absolutely disgusting. Yeah. I was just like, 6 guys. And then, I mean, just walking into that common area you guys had, the trash can was piled up to the ceiling. I was like, are you shitting me? And I was like, it didn't look like they did any cleaning here since the first day they moved in. Yeah. So, but so now I tell you. But yeah, so for me, Sean, my roommate, obviously, he picked up on that quickly, that I was a neat freak. And Gary shortly thereafter did, and other kids. They would tease me about it, not like a hurtful or bullying tease, but just tease me about it. But they were okay with it, because guess what? My room, Sean and I, and then the suite, the bathroom, Sean and I, Gary and Kenneth, those areas were damn clean. So they didn't kid me like in a negative way.
Yeah.
Trust me. But they let me do
I'm
my
sure
thing.
they liked it that way. Yes.
Yeah, they let me do my thing.
Good. Well, that's good. I remember, especially. Well, I don't know if you were here at this point when. So there was a point where Jesse was like not really staying in our room at all.
Okay.
He was staying with like a friend, his cousin or something, had a house that he was just usually staying at. But he enjoyed dipping. He would dip a lot.
Okay.
But he would just leave his water bottles full of black tar liquid filled with spit dip in our room. I was spending many a night on other friends' couches and with other friends. So just as much as it was dirty, I was definitely not helping with it. It was whatever. It's fine. I grew. I learned. That's interesting. I also I feel like I have to ask. Times have changed. Obviously, texting is accessible now. Was there ever like a sock on the door policy for invited guests over? Was that ever a thing that?
Yeah, I never had it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you remember your roommates?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I forget if I told you this story. There was one point where Blair Shannon had lost power, and there was no running water or anything. And one of my roommates, I should say, invited a girl back to our place who was incredibly intoxicated, and she had thrown up in the toilet. We could not flush it, so we had to let it sit there. And then she stumbles into my room while I'm like just in my pajamas. She felt thinking that I'm the guy she came in with. And I was like, sweetheart, I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
You seem like a wonderful young lady. I don't swing for that team, but have a great night. I tried to shuffle her out of the room and send her along her way. It was a very, very defining moment, I think, of my collegiate experience.
Wow.
That's so funny. Well, I'm glad that they let you be neat and have that. That's good. So I guess coming up, we kind of touched on social activities. Another, I think, interesting contrast between your collegiate experience and mine was coming into a program like the theater department, where it was an audition-based program. So all these people I knew who was going to be in my classes before, and I would be with the same people all 4 years. There was, I would say, a themed party, if not every other week, at least 2 to 3 times a month. Per month. A themed party. There was never a party I went to that did not have a theme of some dressed up,
wow.
Which is obviously very theatrical, very theater kid of us. But too, I know a lot of frat parties would sometimes have themes. Their themes would be more like risky business, only wearing a white collared shirt, a tie, and that's it. Or I don't know, some other provocative kind of thing. Ours would be themes like Skanksgiving, for a Thanksgiving themed party that's kind of a little naughty, or it's just stuff like that. We're wild. We like to have fun here. So first semester, you're doing the thing. You're taking gen eds, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is that going? Do you remember anything notable about that, or anything within that first semester or first year?
No. Just it was boring. Mm-hmm. Because it was gen ed. The only difference between it and what I had just left, which was high school, was that the teachers didn't hold your hand. You got a syllabus the first day of class, and it had what was expected of you spelled out A to Z. When you were going to have a quiz, how much it was going to be worth that. So other than those things, them not holding your hand, meaning that they're not going to say, okay, you got a term paper due Friday, January 16th. And then each time you come to class, remember you got a paper due January 16th. That didn't happen in college.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
January 16th roll around, you better be walking in class with a paper to drop in the basket on the teacher's desk. So, but other than that, it was like high school, just lots more homework, but it was boring. And again, I didn't have my mind and heart sit there, Declan. Yeah. I really didn't. My mind and heart was sit on being a United States Marine.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting too, again, kind of just difference with my experience entering college. I kind of already had a core group of people I could consider friends because you've been talking, you know, from spring of 2017 to now fall of 2017. That much time, like getting to know each other, talk, find interests. And so something I'm very thankful and blessed for was having that in college. And I know for so many other people that is not the case. So, you know, besides your roommates, were you ever feeling like super lonely? Were you trying to reach out and make friends? Because I also know we tend to be very sociable people. With that said, I know we also like our alone time. So were you struggling to make friends or like make relationships with people? Did you like try talking people in where you were not only your suite, obviously, but the building? Did they have like on-campus activities? Or?
They did, and I said earlier we went to those things, but I didn't really go to those things on a regular. Now later on, when I transferred to SMSU, which we'll talk about, it was a 9-day difference. Yeah. But yeah, so no, freshman year. I really was a hermit.
Yeah.
I really was. I was home a lot of Friday and Saturday nights, or I was home. I was in my room a lot of Friday and Saturday nights in the dorms. And Ken Skidmore, Kenneth was in his room, but we were in the suite, whereas Gary would either be gone home or gone out to the bar or wherever with friends. Same as Sean. So I was really a hermit. I went to class, came back to my room, did homework, or went to work because I had a job.
Where were you working
on campus? At this point, I was working at the library.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
And so that was pretty much my life. But I didn't really go out.
Yeah. So we passed freshman year, and so how long were you at
CMSU?
CMSU.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
I was there through my sophomore year, so I went there sophomore year.
So in the summer after your freshman year, did you just come back home? I'm assuming yes.
Yes, no. I came back to St. Louis, but I did not go home.
Okay.
I went to I don't know if we talked about this. As soon as I say it, you'll remember the handicap camp that I worked at.
You have brought it up. The phone message that you got from someone, that was
from overseas.
Yes. So
I went back. I when I at the end of freshman year in May, when classes was done, finals was done, I returned to Missouri. I returned to St. Louis, the St. Louis area, but I did not go home. I went to actually Arnold, Missouri, or Imperial, Missouri, where the handicap camp was. Mm-hmm. And I had made arrangements throughout the school year that they knew I was going to come straight from school to camp, even though it hadn't started yet.
Yeah.
But I could help out and work to get the camp open and started for orientation and all that.
Yeah.
But I did not return home.
Do you remember hearing about this camp, or like what kind of drew you? Were you just trying to you were not trying to go back home, so you were like, I'll take anything?
Well, let's see. Actually, because my first year at the camp was '88, so I was at home. That's how I found out the camp from Lindbergh, from high school.
Oh, okay.
They had summer jobs, and I a listing, and I applied to the camp, SLARP, which stands at that time it stood for St. Louis Association for Retarded Citizens. Mm-hmm. So my junior year in high school is when I first went there.
Do they have a new name now?
Yeah.
I would assume? Yeah. Do you know what it is?
Yeah. It's the Greater St. Louis something, but it has disabilities in it. Yeah, it's no longer SLARC, SLARC. was the initials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
But yeah, so I found that and started that job my junior year.
Yeah.
The summer of my junior year.
Yeah. How was it? I guess that summer, but then also the summer after your freshman year.
Yeah.
How was it working with kids who were struggling with something that you didn't struggle with? Not saying you didn't have struggles. Clearly, you did. We've talked about it. How was it? I think
Working with kids with disabilities.
Working with kids with
Oh, it
disabilities.
was awesome.
And
Oh my goodness,
just
it was awesome.
what kind of relationships was that like?
It was absolutely awesome. Now this, I look back now that I'm 50, and not that I discovered this at 50, but as I matured and got older, that was an awesome place. One, because all the muckety muck that I had dealt with or was dealing with at home,
Yeah.
and then a little muckety muck that maybe I had to deal with at college. When I got to that camp, all that was outside. The focus was on those kids with disabilities.
Yeah.
So I didn't have time to focus on my problems or my issues or somebody else's personal life. It was focusing on those kids, and I did that, and I did it well, because I would, from 1988, the summer of 88, when I started there as an assistant counselor, got hired as an assistant camp counselor, to when I left there in 92 or 91, I worked. So yeah, 92, I was a unit director. I worked myself up, worked my way up. But yeah, so I love that. It was an awesome experience. But working with those kids and young adults, because we had young adults there, older than me, sessions. They had different sessions throughout the summer.
Yeah.
That was my calling. And there I learned that, if I want to do this when I graduate college, or when I want to do this for a career, this is what I need to major in. And so that's how I found my major. Yeah.
Of
therapeutic recreation.
Okay, so that was your first major.
Yeah.
So when you came back sophomore year, that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
Therapeutic.
Declared,
interesting. Wow, okay. Interesting. Do you think you knew before working with this camp, that you knew you wanted to have kids, or do you think that this helped solidify that?
Oh no, the camp, 100%. I can't say anything else. Yeah. 100%. That camp, from working at camp, it dictated, mandated, and decided what I was going to do with the rest of my life, supposedly.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's awesome. So you come back sophomore year, you have a major, a declared major. I guess what did that look like? You weren't still in the dorm. Were you still in the dorm at this point?
Okay. That's it. All throughout college, I was in the dorm.
Did you stay with Sean again?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We had discussed it throughout freshman year. The freshman spring semester, and we were like, hey, you're coming back? Yeah, you're coming back? Hey, would you mind being roommates again? Yeah. Hey, Gary, Ken, are you guys going to come back to the dorm? Yeah. Hey, you guys want to be suite mates?
That's awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
So for 2 years, four semesters, Sean Boyle, Gregory Rhodes, Gary Fogler, Kenneth Skidmore were roommates. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Was that?
It absolutely was awesome.
Was that like kind of more, I guess, normal around this campus, or did people usually like move out after freshman year, or
it was a little of both.
Oh, okay.
Because we had friends in the dorm, in South Yater and other dorms that we go over and seeing stuff, and after their freshman year, people were like, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm moving to a house, or I'm moving to an apartment. And what you guys gonna do? We're staying in the dorm. We like the dorms. It's too easy, it's no brain work. We don't have a car. We're gonna stay on campus. Our meals are there.
Yeah, the dining hall. Yeah.
So we chose to do that.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're in sophomore year. Where does kind of the transition come from coming into sophomore year with this new mindset, this new degree track, to then not finishing? Or what was that looking like?
Well, I had now start taking TR classes, therapeutic recreation classes for my major. And as with any, I that's a blanket statement. I shouldn't make that. I'll just make it about me, my degree. The introductory classes were a little boring and little not beneath me,
rudimentary.
But, it was just like man, I've done this stuff for 2 summers. What they're talking about, how you interact with people with disabilities or whatever, and the programs and stuff. And I was like, dude, I actually physically have done this summer of '88 and summer of '89. Yeah. And so in school, it was just like, man, this is, hey, where's the meat and potatoes? Get to the good stuff, the fun stuff, or the more stuff that I don't know about. Challenging. Exactly. Very good, Declan. More challenging. Yeah. So and it wasn't there. Yeah. And so guess what creeped back up in my head? Marines.
I assume.
Marine. Heck yeah. So I'd say the end of the fall, sophomore year, end of the fall semester, into the spring semester. That's all I was thinking about. I didn't tell anybody though. I didn't tell Sean. I didn't tell Gary. I didn't tell Kenneth.
Yeah. Did you tell anyone? Because also, did you tell anyone?
No.
Okay, interesting.
I kept it a secret. I kept it to myself because, again, thinking in the back of my head that, man, well, if I don't make it, then I have to come back and tell them make it. So I got to come back to school.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Keep it private, just so in case things don't. Yeah.
Kept it close to the vest.
Yes. Yeah. So what did that look like? So you tried the ASVAB again and then the physical again, I'm assuming, or?
No, I didn't. I just thought about it and dreamed about it and looked for the commercials, which they were still out there.
Yeah.
That Marine commercial was still out there. But at this time, sophomore year, didn't pursue it.
Okay. So what happens after sophomore year?
So sophomore year, end of sophomore year, spring semester, you're getting ready for your junior year, your third year of college, and you go to your counselor to go over you and pick out your classes and steer you. Well, you need to be taking this class. You need to be taking this class, whatnot, for your degree.
Yeah.
Well, when I got that appointment, met with my counselor, and she's looking over my transcript and looking at what classes I've taken and what classes I need to take. She asked me, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to major in? And I was like, well, therapeutic recreation with an emphasis in geriatrics. Actually, yeah. Working with older adults.
Yes.
And she goes, what do you hope to do with that when you graduate college? And I was like, well, hope to get a job as a therapeutic recreation specialist, a TR. And she goes, did you know that there's a national registry test, like an RN, like a national test that you have to take to get, because it's a little more than you're just a TR person. You're licensed.
Yeah. Okay.
And were you aware of that? And I was like, well, no, I wasn't. They didn't tell me that at camp.
Yes, yeah.
But they just told me, about TR classes and TR the major. And she was like, well, and when you graduate, in order for you to be able to sit for that exam, the TR exam and certification, you have to have graduated from a four-year university as a TR major from an accredited program. I was like, oh, okay. And she goes, SMSU or CMSU's TR therapeutic rec program is not accredited.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, literally, I said, so what does that mean for me? And she was like, well, that means if you stay here and continue to take TR classes and you graduate your senior year, yeah, you will graduate with a degree in TR, but you won't be able to sit for the exam, the licensure and certification as a TR person, which means you probably can't get a job as a TR person.
Wow.
Well, what do I need to do? Well, you need to find a 4-year accredited university, a TR. Yeah.
Wow. That's like, so odd
yeah.
that, I mean, it was a 4-year university that was established, had classes,
Yeah.
like was public,
major,
was a
yeah.
university, had that major, had classes for that major, but did not offer courses for the test or whatever.
Well, no, they were not accredited. The
Yes,
program,
yeah.
In other words, that program was not accredited by, like, hospitals get accreditation and stuff. It was not. It wasn't accredited. The TR program.
That's so weird. That's
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah. So what does that mean? So you need to find a TR school, a school that has TR, that you are therapeutic recreation, which you want to take, major in, and then that school make sure its TR program is accredited. Oh, excuse me. So I asked, well, do you know of any schools? And she's like, well, no. She's like, well, it's a learning experience for both of us. Let's go look. And we looked, and there was Carbondale, Illinois, SIU, something was, Mizzou in Columbia.
Yeah.
And then another school in Illinois, and then this SMSU in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah.
And I go, okay. And I go, well, so I need to pick one of those. Anyone you suggest? She was like, your guess is good as mine. I mean, she said literally. And she wasn't cold about it or haphazard about it. She's just like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did some research. The SIU in Carbondale, Illinois, I think that's the one. If I'm not saying it right, you could correct me out there. But I do know the city was Carbondale, Illinois, the university was in. And then Mizzou. And then the other university that was in Illinois, I don't remember the name of the university or the city. Their tuition was a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Mizzou was expensive too. And then, Mizzou, SIU, and this other school, those three, their tuition was very expensive. I mean, it was a jump from Warrensburg, CMSU. But this SMSU in Springfield, Missouri, its tuition was similar to CMSU in Warrensburg.
Mm.
That's because they were considered sister colleges, sister schools. So I applied to Southwest Missouri State University in Springfield, Missouri. That spring, my sophomore year, after meeting with the counselor, applied and was accepted to Missouri State for the fall semester, 1990. And so I transferred there. Now, my counselor did tell me, she's like, now, once you get to Springfield, once you get to SMSU, you need to have a degree audit done. He's like, they should do it automatically since you're transferring in with a declared major. But she was like, just make sure you get a degree audit, which means all classes I've ever took, they audit those. Yeah. And they see if they're comparable.
What's transferable.
Yeah, transferable. Very good. Well, when I got to SMSU in Springfield, Missouri, Southwest Missouri State, and they did my degree audit on the classes I had took at Warrensburg, other than the general ed classes, they accepted half of my classes.
Wow.
And none of the classes that they accepted were the TR classes. They couldn't because they weren't accredited.
Oh my gosh.
So,
and they're considered sister schools.
Yeah, sister school. Yeah, it's all about the money. So I entered SMSU in Springfield, Missouri, fall of 1990. as a junior with a freshman status.
Wow.
Because I only had 15 hours that were, So my freshman, sophomore year, basically in Warrensburg, was piss.
Wow.
Yeah. I had 57 credits transferred in. Only 15 went towards my degree.
Oh, my God.
And so that's our junior year. What?
So did it feel like those last 2 years have kind of just been a waste?
Oh yeah, I was pissed. I was pissed. I was like, that makes no sense. I was like, whoever would listen to me, I'd moan and groan. But I was like, I could see if I transferred to Mizzou, because Mizzou is Mizzou.
Yeah.
I mean that's the state's. How can I put it? That's the state. That was
the state's university.
Yeah,
right?
that was a level 1 university or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever they. So I could see if I was transferring from CMSU to Warrensburg to Mizzou in Columbia, and they didn't accept it because hey, that's a bigger school. It's bigger. It's the state school, or the Carbondale, Illinois. That school again. I'm transferring out of state. So I rationalized it that I could see that that those classes wouldn't be accepted at those schools, but I could not understand why those classes was not going to be accepted towards my degree at a sister college.
Yeah.
So, enter junior year with that in my basket.
Yeah.
Needless to say, the fall semester, my junior year at SMSU was it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I mean, mindset. I was checked out, but I was thinking about the Marines more so that, you know what, I'm gonna see if I'm eligible to go.
Yeah. God, what a wild journey. I just can't imagine. I know other friends who, have transferred and stuff, and a lot of credit has not been transferable. And then now we have I think it's a little bit easier just in terms of having options like OTC, where I took a lot of summer classes that were all transferable to MSU, which was very nice. It's crazy, weird how much has changed and since you went to school.
Right.
I think I want to pause right there, and that will be our ending for that. And then tune in the next episode to learn what happens at SMS. What goes on down at Missouri State. But before we leave, what is something good that's happened this week? A highlight of this week or just recently?
I got done with my hyperbarics therapy. Mm-hmm. That was hyperbarics since February, March, April, May, first 2 weeks of June, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to noon, every day. I went to Mercy Hospital to their hyperbarics chamber, and they put me in a hyperbarics chamber, and I dove 60 dives. And the purpose of that was because when you dive, like you're scuba diving, you're breathing air, but in a chamber, a controlled environment, I was breathing 100% oxygen, which is to promote healing.
Yeah.
Because in 2016, when I did radiation for my cancer, even though it was pinpoint laser radiation specifically to my prostate, it still hit other organs. Yeah. One being my bladder, my colon, and those organs do not like radiation. No organ likes radiation, to be honest, but those did. And so the damage to my bladder was it was like the radiation burned holes into my bladder, and so yeah, internally. So I've been bleeding, when I urinate, and heavily, but for some time. And my urologist reading some medical journals and stuff, and just trying to keep up to breast and speed with changing stuff and remedies. He found where they had recommended hyperbaric treatment to heal your bladder from bladder cystitis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so that's what I've been doing since February, doing hyperbarics therapy again, Monday through Friday, 9 to noon, and so that captivated my day for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
And so I finished that this week.
Yeah.
I finished that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's a positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
And it worked.
And it works.
Yeah. How long they can say it'll last, maybe 2 months, maybe 2 years, maybe 20 years. It just depends.
Yeah.
Now, I did do hyperbarics back in 2017 initially from the radiation. And so I did it in 2017. And I hadn't did it since then, so it had lasted that long. And then I started bleeding again.
Almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, knock on wood, and we would appreciate your good energy and positive thoughts sending to Gregory. But that's awesome. That's good. I'm glad to hear that you're done with that portion of your healing.
Yeah.
A good thing that has happened to me this week. I mean, honestly, I'm still riding the high from being from in Nashville. It was just so good, and I just hadn't been on a little trip in a while. Obviously, the pandemic but being vaccinated and everyone I was around was vaccinated. All the people I went up with was kind of nice to return to some kind of normalcy. From over a year ago. But yeah, we want to thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in to another episode of The Rhodes Less Traveled. You can follow us on our Facebook page at The Rhodes Less Traveled, RHODES, traveled with 1 L. You can find us on Instagram at _Rhodes_less_traveled_ in between all the words. We post on there occasionally. You can check us out on there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful day. Be awesome to one another, and love you. Bye.
Later.